the mindset that I came up with when I would get up to the plate. So I would get ready, do my little routine. My goal was to hit a line drive right at the center fielder and get out. And I would visualize myself getting out, watching the center fielder catch it, and then I would run off the field and just be okay with being out. And I know it sounds insane, but for me mentally, it completely took away my fear of failure because my goal was to fail. My goal was to get out. So I think that's a really powerful concept. And this can be applied to any sport, not just baseball or softball, obviously, right? But going up to the plate with the intention of trying to get out. And so I'm not afraid of it because that's actually my goal. And the cool thing is, though, trying to hit a line drive at the center fielder, that's a pretty good approach, right? Like, if you hit a line drive at the center fielder, you're on time, you hit the ball in the middle, right? So I think that's the best way to get out of a slump. Like, mentally, try to fail. And a lot of other players have issues, not just at the plate, but with fielding. They get the yips. I don't even like to say that word because it's kind of a scary word. Like you have a tough time making easy throws because you get in your head. You have a tough time throwing strikes with runners on base as a pitcher, or you're in the outfield and balls over your head. You just get in your head about it. It's just really difficult to catch balls over your head, right? I think having that, you could probably apply that too. Like trying to fail. Like imagine yourself the worst case scenario happening. And then going into it like that, having absolutely no fear of failure because you don't care, Once I made that mindset shift, I immediately went off. I ended up batting like 400, ton of RBIs, was able to transfer to a Division I college, and it was awesome, But so, and I do think doing a lot of research too, like got me there, but it was also just having conversations with friends, like I said, meditating, and just kind of sticking to what I know, just learning as much as I can. The meditating thing is interesting though, because you can do a lot of visualization, so you can imagine things happening. That's really helpful too. Not just imagining yourself getting a hit, but also imagining yourself like walking up to the plate or even getting off the bus, going through your warm-up routine. You kind of walk through all the events leading up to the game. It's really helpful as well because now when it actually happens, you've already rehearsed it in your head, and it really gets rid of some of those nerves too. I think sometimes slumps happen because we're nervous, So if you can do that, where you visualize what happens before that even happens in the first place, that can get rid of some of those nerves, and now you can start to get out of your head. But I really believe in like affirming certain things, like staying positive as well. So while you're meditating, a good time to do that is like while you're stretching. Like I used to always stretch before bed, like do like yoga, like just because I always had tight hips. I was a catcher, so just trying to loosen up the hips and stuff, and then like maybe just sit there, close your eyes, say a couple things, I guess like affirmations, like I'm a good hitter, I have good discipline at the plate, I'm confident, like stuff like that can be really, really helpful. And then also visualizing, like we talked about, and then just really trying to establish what your mindset is, making sure that you have a plan. For me, I think it's really important to have something you're thinking about. So like I said, my goal was to hit a line drive right at the center fielder and get out. That's a really simple plan, but I think for me that helped me stop thinking. Like, think about it this way. You try to tell yourself not to think. I was just explaining this we had a camp, we had our winter one camp tonight. I was just explaining this. You try to think about nothing, it doesn't work. You start thinking about everything the minute you try to think about nothing, So what you should do is have a simple thing, like a mantra or just like a approach. So a couple words that you can focus on, and that will get you locked in so you don't think as much. So for me, like I said, I'm trying to line out to the center fielder, but maybe for you it's hard up the middle, or be on time, or catch it out front. That's one I really like, because a lot of kids struggle, like they make contact way too deep in the strike zone, they just get blown up, they get jammed, So just trying to get the bat out front, make contact out there. That's a good mantra to have. As long as you have something simple that you can just go to every time, because that also kind of gets you in a routine, which adds to the comfortability too. And now you're not overthinking, because you're thinking about one specific thing. It's really easy not to overthink when you're focused on one specific thing. But if you're trying to think about nothing, thoughts are just going to run wild in your head, especially in the middle of a game, in the chaos of a game. And that's how the game speeds up on you, right? So I think it's not even necessarily that my mindset, like my approach was just so much better than everyone else's. I think just the fact that I was focusing on anything, just one simple cue that was helping me, really got me out of my head. I wasn't thinking, because we've all been there. Like, even if you're not a baseball player or softball player, you understand this. Like, the game just feels like it's happening to you, like it's sneaking up on you. It's going too fast. You don't have the time to just like relax and actually make a plan and execute what you can, what you've done a million times in practice, right? So having a simple cue, that's the number one thing. And then also, kind of just adding to it, is just the confidence part. And where does that come from? Well, you can kind of like gaslight yourself into being confident, sort of. Like, you can affirm yourself, you can visualize and all that stuff. But I think a lot of kids get it mixed up when I do lessons. They think confidence is like somehow like becoming better. It's like reaching for more, believing that you're a better player than you actually are. So like, you get in those big moments, like those nervous moments where it's a tie game, runner on second, 2 outs, and you're like, you become a better player mentally somehow. That does not work. I think confidence, like true confidence, is more just understanding that you're enough. Like, your skills are enough. They're good enough to beat the pitcher and get the job done in that situation. You don't need to be better than you are. You're already good enough, That's a better mindset to have. And so how do we gain that? I think the first part is just making sure our training is on point. So, getting in the cage is going to make you more confident, because then you're going to believe that you have what it takes. Belief takes evidence. Like, in order to believe in yourself, you need to have proof that you should, you need to actually get in the cage, get in the weight room, have experience hitting off a high level pitching. The more you do this, like, the less you'll get nervous. At the end of my career is when I was the least nervous, even though I was in the most high pressure situations, so when I was most nervous, I was probably like 8 years old. So I had no experience. I had no idea what was going on, but the more you do play this game and you face high level pitching, even when you fail, you just get more confident because you get more used to it and you kind of adapt, So if you're someone out there who struggles with confidence, struggles with slumps, and just kind of get in your head, just understand it will get better. But my biggest takeaway from this is, first of all, understand that you need to train your mind. So meditate, visualize success, visualize what leads up to success, and what happens after success. Also, affirm yourself. Tell yourself that you can do it. Tell yourself that you are what you want to be. If you want to be more confident at the plate, act as if you already are confident. Tell yourself that you are. Kind of like a fake it till you make it type of thing, I guess.